Ready to slash costs and cut through the competition? Dinomorphia is here to half the meta. So let's dive in before time runs out. What's up guys? Welcome back to Main Phase TV, and I'm back with another Dinomorphia deck profile. This time we made second place. We defeated the undefeated, but somehow still didn't get first. Weird, I know. And I'm here to give you exactly what we played. Now the matchups were Mimigul, Kashtira. The second matchup was Snake Eyes Azamina, which we technically would have won had it not been for time and our opponent power shuffling round 3. The third round, I really don't remember too much of it. And then the last round was against Tenpai. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it and dive into the profile. All right, so starting off with the monsters, you already know Theresia. We got 3 of them. Of course, it's your starter. Your next monster is Diplos. They really need to give Diplos a good card to Foolish or something. Diplos is okay. The burn effect doesn't really do too much. I've seen people play 2, but no matter how many times I play it, 3 just seems right, even though sometimes you can brick, more or less kind of brick, with Diplos in hand. As far as the spells, we did 3 Pot of Dualities. Ignore the rarity mismatch. I know. But Duality was pretty good for consistency reasons. In all honesty, the only thing I don't like about it was the whole thing of you not being able to special summon, but it is what it is. Then we had 1 Call by the Grave, 1 Fossil Dig, 1 Card of Demise. Demise came in clutch. I saw it twice during my last match against Tenpai. One Fossil Dig was actually amazing, and I only wanted to play 1 because of the QCR, so why not? And Call by the Grave honestly just helps in other ways. If you see it, sacky as shit. If you don't, it doesn't really matter. The last spell was Pot of Prosperity. I didn't see it at all, but it is good, especially with all the space that we have in our extra deck. Now, onto the traps. We are running 3 of the best trap, 3 Frenzy. We are running 3 Domain. Domain does help play around Super Poly, and I feel Super Poly is going to come back into the format because I noticed there was a lot of people playing on Super Poly, and I feel like I've kind of been out of it, but Super Poly is pretty nice. It did help against Snake Eyes Azamina. However, I felt like I burned through all my extra deck. I misplayed some things, but in all honesty, had I done it correctly, we would have had it and there'd be no issues. The next card is Intact. I saw somebody playing 2, which I think is crazy. But what's crazy is that I had all 3 Intact in grave against the Snake Eyes Azamina player. He had 3 monsters with attack and 1 had 0 attack. So he attacked with all 3, and I literally just blocked all 3 attacks to like literally survive a turn, which is insane. Intact is so good for you not to play it at 3. The next card is Alert. Alert is really good, obviously, to Reborn or to help set up. So like even if you don't have a Rex or something, there was a time where I had Theresia and Diplos in grave. So in the end phase, I'll just use Alert and then just set up my board for my next turn after I draw to hopefully go into like the OTK route. And on top of that, you could just overlay the 2 level 4s into whatever Xyz monsters you need. Then we were playing 1 Sonic. I'm still 50-50 on it. It never came up. I never used it. If anything, I'll probably just use a Grave Effect and send it off of Diplos. And then the last card, 1 card copy of, is Brute. Brute also never came up, if I'm being honest. Going first, I sided out. Going first, or going second, game 3s or 3 or 2, I would side out Sonic and Brute for something else that I needed in the side deck. It's not too great going first or going second, but going first, it can help, and I always put them back. As far as the counter traps, we are playing 3 Judgment, of course, 3 Strike. I know my previous profiles, I was only playing 2, but in all honesty, I'd rather see the Strike also. Kind of let them dedicate a lot of their resources to what they need, and then you strike them at the right time, and honestly, it does more damage than you think, and 9 times out of 10, they just pass. The next counter trap is Iron Thunder. Remember, even if a monster tributes itself as cost, as long as it activated on the field, you can still Iron Thunder. And honestly, it's all about placement. So figure out, you know, more or less like where they're activating the effect, the spell or monster effect on field, and you can determine whether you think by blowing up your card if it's worth it, or if you have a strike, just use a strike. I always use a strike first, especially because it's a 1500. It's really weird, but Iron Thunder is amazing. The next card is Ferret Flames, obviously the most OP card and best card in the deck. This actually helped me against my Tempai player opponent. He used one of the quick play spells, target one of his monsters, target one card your opponent controls. He targeted Ferret Flames, and he forced me to flip it, and it kind of put him in a weird position because no matter what he did, his stuff was gonna get sent back anyway, and I had enough follow-up to just be able to take it. The next two is IDP. IDP is pretty good, especially with Fiendsmith all being fiends. And then Yubel being a thing as well, because Yubel is the toughest matchup against this deck. I cannot stand it enough. Now granted, I do play Yubel also, so there are many ways for them to be able to basically kill this deck, and IDP is a good way to just avoid it, especially if you get rid of both the spirits. Perfect, just make sure that they don't have the field spell. And then the last card is Trap Trick. I bumped this down to 1 because I hated the limitation of only being able to activate one trap for the rest of that turn, which kind of does suck. And I don't really like that barrier or that limit too much when it comes to activating our traps, especially when you have to pick and choose. And then you have to spend more time thinking than playing, which we all know we don't have much time to think because of time. All right, so now on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, of course, you have your 3 Rex. Let's do that. Okay, you have your 3 Rexsturm. You have your 3 Kentriginas, and then your 3 Stealth Bergias. In all honesty, Stealth Bergia came up against the Azumina Snake Eyes player. They had X amount left. I was just waiting for them to use the Flamberge effect because all they had was 3,000 life points left. If they use Flamberge effect, then you could just use Stealth Bergia, burn them, win. That's all. But other than that, it's typically used for the Frenzy fusion material, and that's basically it. Kentrigina got impermed by the same Snake Eyes Azumina player, 4,000 beater, which is crazy because I had one on field and he took one from me, and so he tried to attack and he took 4,000. Then the Kentrigina that he took from me activated its effect, so now I brought out 2 monsters and was able to keep on going. So a lot of people forget that she loses attack equivalent to your life points, which by them not reading, it helps you out even more. The next cards are Mudragon, Yubel Fusion, and Garura. Super poly targets. Little spoiler, super poly targets. Garura, I think only came out once, Mudragon once. Never used a Yubel. This was just a precaution just in case we do go against Yubel, because we could just basically board wipe them for this and basically put them on You Better Have It. And then the last 3 are Xyz. So we have Logia, we have Raider's Knight, and Arc Rebellion. This is more of the OTK line. This helps us push for game, and Logia helps on simple game states where you have the 2 level 4s, you just overlay into Logia. If you have a trap that can negate a spell trap or a summon, you use the trap first so that way you don't play into talents, and then you don't waste the Logia. But on simple game states, when it's just you have the Logia only and they have top deck left, Logia is amazing, if I'm being honest. So, side deck. Now, the side deck is a little weird. I know I didn't really have too much time to put it together, but it is what it is. So we put 3 imperms. I cited it in, but I never really saw it, if I'm being honest. We used Shifter, and honestly, Shifter came up once, we saw it once, and it saved us. because all we did was shifter our opponent, and then from there they just set 1 pass. We're able to set 5 pass, and then we're good to go. And then we can just control the whole board. So I know shifter is a very toxic card. However, we technically don't use it in the toxic way. We just use it to help give us a chance to set up. So if you lose the shifter, yeah, we cry about it. We could also play through shifter. It's just like Tenpai, our resources are wasted. But the issue is we can't OTK, but they can. Next is 2 lava golems. Sighted it in against Snake Eye Azamina. Didn't see it once, which kind of sucked. Which this would be nice, because if we shifted them, then they would basically, you know, stay on 2, you know, whatnot, and we could just lava golem. Or they just go into Fucho. 3 Ghost Bell. 3 Ghost Bell was for the Azamina and for the U-Bell. Honestly, I sighted in once, didn't see it, of course. In all honesty, the main deck just did most of the work. We had 2 Phantasmes to help prevent targeting and to help draw into our cards that we needed. Sighted in, never saw it. And then the last 2 cards are Super Polys. Sighted it in, did see it, but overall, like I said, we used it once, and for the most part, the deck did amazing. If you enjoyed what you saw, or if you have any recommendations, please let me know, and let me know your success with the deck. This deck is really amazing, it's really fun, and I love to see everybody's creativity with it. I think it's a really good time to play it, and we don't really have much to worry about. Shifter's not an issue for us. Both Mulcharmies aren't really an issue for us. You know, it really isn't that big of a deal. So, I'll see y'all guys next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all.